Cherokee Nation put us on this reservation, took away our ways of life. The tomahawk and the bowie knife took away our native tongue and taught their English to our young. And all the beads we made by hand are nowadays made in Japan. Cherokee people, Cherokee tribe, so proud to live, so proud to die. They took the whole Indian nation, locked us on this reservation. Though I wear a shirt and tie, I'm still part red man deep inside. Cherokee people, Cherokee tribe, so proud to live, so proud to die. But maybe someday when they've learned, the Cherokee Nation will return, will return, will return, will return, will return.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our show here on HerbFM Sports Radio at the SportsDesk. And big games, a big game this week, tonight down in Washington, D.C. As we speak. The CA men's tournament will be finishing up with Hofstra taking on Northeastern. And we have Dave Ryan, who does a lot of stuff for CBS Sports and Fox. But tonight he's going to be working with the CBS Sports Network. And you can watch that game tonight at 7:00, or as we're on the air. So, Dave, talk about this game last night. Hofstra basically took over the game from Delaware. It looks like Delaware was doing really well in the first half, but it looked like Hofstra had the horses to get into the finals today. But Northeastern knocked off an Elon squad that's basically, I thought they were playing with house money.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at it. Just Northeastern just finished up their shoot around here a few minutes ago, and it's funny. It's always interesting for me, Chris, after all these years, to look at players' faces, watch their body language, and before big games like this. And the distinct impression I got is that Northeastern is relaxed. They're confident. They're very comfortable being here, having won the whole thing last year. And I think they like the matchup a lot with Hofstra for good reason. The games were close. Thought about a total of 7 points, both won by Hofstra. I spoke with Joe Mahalik today, the Hofstra head coach. He said the first game we were up by 20, given 25 at half. And then Northeastern made a great comeback to make it close, and then kind of the other way around. Hofstra came back in the second game. But the bottom line is, as we all know in sports, it's so hard to sweep a team 3 straight games. So Northeastern will make adjustments, and Hofstra's going to make adjustments. It's going to come down to what I think the guards do in this game. Whether Jordan Rowland, who's arguably the player of the year at the Colonial, they didn't win the award, but you may as well have. He's an incredible scoring guard, shooting guard, who does it all for them against the great guards of Hofstra, who are just seem to be omnipresent. Tariq Coburn had a double-double. He listed a forward but really plays as a guard. Bashir Bowie does it all for them. Eli Pemberton was brilliant in the semifinals over Delaware with 24 points. And Jalen Ray was kind of just he has 55 threes. I mean, they cause such havoc defensively. It leads to runouts. Coach Cohen said a moment ago, can't get them to the free throw line, which they're the best in the conference at that high scoring team. So it's kind of it's a great chess match. It's a fascinating game, I think, for Donnie Marshall, our analyst on CBS Sports Network tonight, to break down, because there'll be so much strategy. And it's just, I mean, you feel like it's going to be that classic rematch of a championship game. Last year's game was tight. I think this will be close as well, and probably down to the last, 30 seconds or last possession.
Yeah. Well, your broadcast partners used to play in big games, because I think he was with UConn and used to have some big East matchups. That he had like a couple buzzer beaters, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. Greg Kerr at UConn, and he's just a fantastic analyst. He and I have not done any TV together we were trying to do the math. It was about 16 years back in our ESPN days together. It's a long time. But it's like riding a bike with him. He's such a pro. He works a different play-by-play guy every night, running around for Fox and everyone else doing every game imaginable, different conferences, different announcers. So, great guy, comfortable to work with him, and it was a fun semifinal night. But tonight is special. We don't get a chance as broadcasters to do a lot of these games, the championship games. So I did the ASUN on radio on Sunday at Liberty with their exciting win over Lipscomb. So chance to do this game tonight is really a thrill.
Well, let's talk about the arena down there. I was down there over the weekend. It's a very tiny arena. I didn't think, and it's actually well off the beaten path of the road, so you don't even know where it is. You thought you were going to the morgue to watch a game, So, what do you think about that arena?
Yeah, I'm sitting here right now. It's a fantastic size venue for the Colonial. I think Charleston was too big, and unless Charleston is in the final, you're not going to fill it, and that's the issue here. William & Mary's the closest. They had a great turnout as the number 2 seed on Sunday night. Unfortunately, they didn't pull it out. Lost a shocking loss to Milan in the quarterfinals. So yes, maybe the crowds are not going to be enormous yet. It's the first year. It's the first year of a 3-year contract at this arena, and it's a good geographic fit, I think, for the league, which is so stretched out across the Eastern Seaboard. And who wouldn't want to come to DC to enjoy themselves and see the history? I'm a museum nerd, Chris. I'm going to take some time and see the Smithsonian tomorrow once the dust settles on this tournament. But I like doing stuff like that. So I think it's perfect size. You can't go too big. You can't have an NBA level building for this league. It's just impossible.
Yeah, and I thought, with Towson being 55 miles away, they're going to be the home team because we cover Towson a lot, and they come. I feel like every year when they get to this playoffs for the tournament, they just find a way to lose. I don't know why. Yeah,
tough one for them. I know Pat Scary's a really good coach. They've got a good program, and that was a battle in the quarterfinals. It came close to Northeastern. Really, I thought that one program would come back and win that game. It just didn't work out for them. They've got talented athletes. Say it was doing. He's a good coach, so. That's Chris. That's why these games are so great. Yes, really good coaches. It's a one-bid league. There's only one team coming out of here, no matter how you shake it. That's why this game is so big. This is it. So whoever doesn't win tonight, he's got to wait a whole year. And these seniors are gone. The seniors who don't win tonight are gone. This is their last opportunity. It's not the Big Ten with 7, 8, 11, 12, whatever it's going to be. It's not the Big East with 6, 7, 8, whatever they're going to have. The ACC with 7, 8, Syracuse at 500 is getting in. It's just not. It is not that league. so the pressure's ratcheted up, the intensity's ratcheted up, and it means so much to these players and coaches. It's fun to be around that.
Yeah. Well, one team goes to the NCAA and one goes to the NIT, and represent the Colonial and the NIT. So that's not bad.
Well, not necessarily, because if Northeastern loses, they were just up there for 500 now, so they're the 6th seed. Hofstra loses, yes, they would be again the regular season champ and get the automatic bid like they did last year. They lost in the first round of the NIT. But if you'd ask all the Hofstra players, coaches, fans, they want to do one thing. That's win this tonight and get back to the big dance for the first time in 19 years. It's been a while.
Yeah, they're having a great season, Hofstra. They beat UCLA, and who goes out to Los Angeles and beats them at their home floor? You don't see that a lot.
Yeah, in fact, John Mahalik said that it was the biggest win in his tenure. Now it's the 7th year at Hofstra. He can't go back to the Jay Wright days, the American days. He said it's the biggest win I've ever had in my career, which is an incredible thing to say because he brought Niagara to a tournament twice, in 05 and 07. So that is how significant that was for Hofstra to go to Poly and beat UCLA, and ended up having a pretty good season. Mick Cronin was the coach of the year in the Pac-12 this season. So when you see how well UCLA did, it just, again, November's a long time ago, but that's a thing for mid-major like Hofstra. That's a big resume builder. So I always get to this point where it's tricky because you get to know the coaches so well. You talk to watch games and media conferences, and I've seen these guys. I've been in this tournament 4 years in a row now, and you hate to see someone lose because one team's got to be very, very disappointed after this game tonight. And for the Northeastern players, I mean, Bolden Brace and Jordan Rowland, these guys who are seniors, if they don't win, there's a very good chance they won't have any postseason. So this could be it for their careers. So there's a lot on the line tonight.
So real quick, let's do the keys for Hofstra to win this game tonight. What do they got to do to bring NCAA tournament back to Hempstead, New York?
Back to Hempstead, Long Island. Well, the matchup zone has got to be as effective as it's been throughout this tournament, where they've locked a lot of teams down. They create offense with havoc. It's kind of like BCU in the Shaka Smart days. I mean, they are constantly defending and deflecting balls and diving on the floor. I think they play with a level of intimidation and edge. They're very physical. So I think rebounding, and as Coach Cohen said, they've got to keep Hofstra off the free throw line and just keep the live ball turnovers down, because all of a sudden 2-3 turnovers in a row, it turns into either a spot up transition three or a dunk, and the game can swing either way. So those are some of the big things. And then for Northeastern, I think it's just their seniors playing like seniors. Like if you were here a minute ago, watch the shoot around, these guys are calm, they're collected. No one's not even smiling. They were just like Wells said, it's another day at the office. I think they were very locked in, very focused. So they've got to keep their composure, weather the storm. Roland's got to he's not had a great game yet in this tournament. He's got to have his best game. This guy scored 42 against Harvard this year. So he is a tremendous athlete, tremendous scorer. I know Hofstra will throw the kitchen sink at him to try to get him off his game, and especially from three, where he's so effective. Bolden Brace, who's their senior from California, he's got to have a big game, rebounding. It's funny, if you watch him, he's a calming presence. So if opposed to going for a breakaway dunk or a low percentage play on a fast break, they've got numbers. So back it out. All right, let's use the 30 seconds. They want to maximize their possessions, keep it away from Hofstra. So it's an interesting chess match. I think it'll be a fascinating game to watch, and I can see it, as usual, when these guys play, going right down the wire.
Exactly. Well, thanks for coming on. I know this game will be broadcast. This interview will be broadcast as you on the air.
Gotcha.
But good luck with the broadcast and have fun. And hopefully we'll talk more.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, cool. Hold on 1 second. Let me end this thing.
I looked for trouble and I found it, son. Straight down the barrel of a lawman's gun. I tried to run, but I don't think I can. You make one move and you're a dead man. Friend, ain't living long like this. Ain't living long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special sports desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. It's March Madness, so we're going to do it here tonight here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We are back up and running on our website. It's herbfmsportsradio.weebly.com. If you want to listen to us on our website, that'd be great as well. Coming up shortly here on the program, here on March 10th, we'll have Shady Swan. She is the women's basketball coach at Bowie State. Will drop by at 7:15 shortly. Then we'll try to recap this past weekend CAA basketball tournament with some interviews that our very own Matt Trecanelli did for us over the weekend. We'll do that as well. At 7:45, Dalton Shelter, who is the Michigan State men's basketball broadcaster and also producer of the broadcast for the basketball radio out there in Michigan, will join us at 7:45. And then at 8 o'clock, Shelby Mass, who is the bracketology that we had here on the radio the last couple of weeks. We'll talk to him. He works for the USA Today. He has his own website. He will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll talk about this week's brackets to see who's going to be, what he thinks, who's going to be falling out of the brackets or who's going to be in the brackets coming this coming Sunday when they do the selection show. At 8:15, Zach Brazier, who is a writer for the New York Post. He covers St. John's North as the Big East tournament this week as well. 8:30, we talked to Kyle Troop this afternoon from Las Vegas. We talked to him. He won the doubles last week, doubles championship with his partner, Jesper Swenson. And then at 8:45, Steve Jones, the voice of the Penn State basketball and football, will join us. We'll talk Penn State basketball because the Big Ten tournament will get underway tomorrow night. So, folks, thanks for joining us here on HerbFM Sports Radio. If you listen to us here on Speaker.com, we're going to take a break. And this is Coach Swan. We'll get her on in 2 seconds right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. Alright, folks, welcome back. We will try to get a hold of the Bowie State women's basketball coach, but we have our good friend Daniel Samsker, who writes for the Hero Report. He's out there. He's down in Washington, D.C. right now for the CAA championship, and he has a live report with us for Daniel. Daniel, what's at the first media timeout?
Well, we are at that first media timeout. We have 15:59 remaining in D.C. The Northeastern Huskies have gotten out to the fast start this time. Yesterday was the Hofstra Pride getting ahead of Delaware early on and really shooting lights out from the get-go. But tonight it's been Northeastern with a 10-3 run to start the game. DeJour Bowie for Hofstra opened things up with a three-pointer. That started the scoring. But since then it's been all Northeastern with a pair of three-pointers, one by Tyson Walker, and that has opened up this 10-3 lead.
And this is the third time they play each other in this season, because the first two Hofstra beat Northeastern, so it's really hard to try to beat somebody three times.
That's exactly right, and that's especially the case for a team like Northeastern that's so well coached by Bill Cowan. He's been in the league for years now. This is Northeastern's second straight title game appearance, and that really this matchup is occurring for the second straight year in the title game. So Bill Cowan's been here before. He's done it with different rosters, and it's really hard to outcoach or really outmaneuver a team that's so well run like the Northeastern squad.
That's great. Well, Daniel, thank you for calling in. I hope you can give us more updates throughout the rest of the night. And folks, if after the game we'll try to get one of the winning coaches to give us a call for a quick 5 minutes. We'll be live until 10:30 if that happens here on HerbFM Sports Radio. But in the meantime, Daniel, thank you so much. Just keep us posted.
Thank you. The action continues.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Lately I've been noticing I say the same things he used to say. I even find myself acting the very same way. I tap my fingers on the table to the rhythm in my soul, and I jingle the car keys when I'm ready to go. When I look in the mirror, he's right there in my eyes, staring back at me. And I realize the older I get, the more I can see how much he loved my mother and my brother and me. And he did the best that he could, and I only hope when I have my own family that every day I see a little more of my father and me. There were times I thought he was being just a little bit hard on me, but now I understand he was making me become the man he knew that I could be. In everything he ever did, he always did with love, and I'm proud today to say I'm his son. When somebody says, I hope I get to meet your dad, I just smile and say, you already have. The older I get, the more I can see how much he loved my mother and my brother and me. And he did the best that he could, and I only hope when I have my own family that every day I see a little more of my father in me. He's in my eyes, my heart, my soul, my hands, my pride. And when I feel alone and I think I can't go on, I hear him saying, son, you'll be alright. Everything is gonna be alright. Yes, it is. The older I get, the more I can see that he loved my mother and my brother and me, and he did the best that he could. And I only hope when I have my own family, every day I see, oh, I hope I see, I hope every day I see a little more of my father and me. A little more of my father in me. I hope every day I see in me, in me, in me. I hope every day I see a little more of my father in me.
Said she tired, little money, need a big boy. Pull up 20-inch blades like I'm Lil Troy. Now it's everybody flocking, need a decoy. Shorty mixing up the vodka with the liquor. G-Wagon, 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 G-Wagon. All the housewives pulling up. I got a lot of toys. 720S bumping Fallout Boy. You was talking shit in the beginning, back when I was feeling unforgiving. I know I pissed you off to see me winning. See the hit glue in my mouth and I be grinning. 100 bands in my pocket, it's on me. 100 deep when I roll like the army. Get more bottles, these bottles are lonely. It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow. 100 bands in my pocket, it's on me. Yeah, your grandma will probably know me. Get more bottles, these bottles are lonely. It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow. Catch me on the block like a Mutombo. 750 Lambo in the Utah snow. Trunk in the front like that shit Dumbo, yeah. Cut the roof off like a nip tuck. Pull up to the house with some big butts. Turn the kitchen counter to a strip club. Me and Drake came for the. When I got guap, all of y'all disappear. Before I drop Sony, none of y'all really care. Now they always say congratulations to the kid. And this is not a 40, but I'm pouring out this shit. Used to have a lot, but I got more now. Made another hit, cause I got bored now. Always going for it, never pump fourth down. Last call, Hail Mary, Prescott, touchdown, hey. 100 bands in my pocket, it's on me. 100 deep when I roll like the army. Get more bottles, these bottles are lonely. It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow. 100 bands in my pocket, it's on me. Yeah, your grandma will probably know me. Get more bottles, these bottles are lonely. It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio, 727. We're going to, hopefully, we're waiting for the Bowie State women's coach, but I don't think that's going to be happening this evening, but we'll try to get her on next week. They are playing Virginia Union this coming weekend in the NCAA tournament. All right, coming up at 7:45, Dalton Shelter, who is part of the Michigan State Radio Network, will join us to talk Michigan State. They are the 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament that's going to start this tomorrow night out there in Indianapolis, Indiana. And then our good friend Shelby Mass will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll talk to him about bracketology, what teams are on the bubble in the Big Ten and the Big East and also the ACC. We'll see who will be, who has to win this week to get, to get into the NCAA tournament. So right now, there's an update from down there in DC. Huskies have a 14-8 lead on Hofstra with 11:26 left in the first half. So right now, the leading scorer is for Northeast. Let's pull him up here. Leading scorer, Bolden Brace, who's from the senior from Santa Barbara, California, is the leading scorer right now for the Huskies of Northeastern, who will be hopefully the winner of this CAA championship will clinch a berth in the NCAA tournament, and the other one will, if it depends on their record, will probably go to the NITs. So the Hofstra Pride looking to not go to the NITs. They haven't been to the NCAA tournament since 2001. So in the meantime, we're going to play one of our interviews we did this morning. Speaking of the NCAA tournament and the plus the Big Ten tournament, we talked to Chris Naki this morning, who around here you should know. He's one of those broadcasters who helps out our good friend Johnny Holiday. So we will play his interview right now as we speak. So here it is, Chris Naki from the Maryland Sports Radio Network. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Radio. Here on a special Tuesday, we have Chris Naki, who helps Johnny Holiday out a lot during the basketball season on the Maryland Radio Network. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. Maryland is a 3 seed in this Big Ten tournament. They are co-champions but they are the 3 seed. So what do you see coming up on Friday? They might face Penn State, they might face Indiana, or they might face Nebraska. So it's kind of you don't even know.
Yeah, first of all, I think everybody expects that Indiana will beat Nebraska, and then of course it's Indiana against Penn State, and I think most Maryland fans are probably rooting for a triple overtime game there. I expect Terps will see Penn State, and maybe that's as it should be, Chris, in the sense that you saw Penn one time during the year. It was awfully early. It was the first week of December or second week of December up at their place. So to right the wrong, not play well, and then Penn State played well. You play whoever you play. The Big Ten is so deep. There's not really a bracket or a part of the bracket that you can look at and say, "Gosh, I wish we were there." You're gonna have to beat some good teams to get to where you want to go. Period.
Do you feel like now Maryland's part of the Big Ten after winning a basketball championship for the first time ever? Because I felt like I felt like to me they're still part of the ACC until they won something.
No, I didn't really feel that way.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not the kind of the ACC romantic that I know a lot of Maryland fans are. I think in this day and age, you just move on. I mean, the landscape changes all the time, and I've sort of adopted the Big Ten. One of the reasons why I have is I think the Big Ten Network does such a great job sort of covering the league, keeping everybody abreast of what's going on in it, and there's some damn good teams. So I've kind of embraced the Big Ten myself. Yeah, I like the Big Ten Network because they do a really good job, and I feel like that's the standard for all these leagues trying to do these TV markets now. Like the ACC Network. Yeah, because I feel they set the bar pretty high.
Yeah, and I feel like the ACC Network's trying to get there, and I think the SEC Network is almost right there with the Big Ten, but the ACC Network, to me, it's like, okay, I like Packer and Durham, but can they get them off TV for a while?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this weekend coming up, what is, if they win Friday night, they play Saturday on CBS, and you want to be there the whole weekend. If they lose one game and they go to the Sweet 16 or whatever, or Elite 8, is that a good season? Because I heard a lot of people around here, saying like if they don't get to the Elite 8 or the Sweet 16, it's a terrible season.
Well, I mean, I think fans will be fans, and they're going to have their own opinions about what's a successful season. I mean, obviously winning a Big Ten regular season championship is a huge step in the right direction for making it a successful season. So, I think that, you just can't predict what kind of slot they're going to be and what kind of seed, what kind of bracket. So because of the variables there, obviously I'm like anybody else. I want them to play as long as is humanly possible and get to an 8 or 16. They're certainly good enough to do that. But I got to tell you, Chris, there might be 20 teams that are good enough to be Sweet 16 teams. And I can promise you, not all of them are going to make it there. It's just it's kind of who you play. It's getting a couple of breaks at the right time. And there's a lot that goes into it. It's hard for me to quantify what's successful. We'll sort of figure that out at the end of the day when the season is over and you see where the chips fall.
Yeah, I feel like this whole March Madness is going to be wide open for anybody because we've been played since October, and everybody's been in their midseason or postseason form since January. So I feel like everybody's ready to roll, and I think we're going to see teams that you're like, what? Who? Yeah, who are these? Yeah, who are these people? Yeah, go ahead.
When you think about it, when the Big Ten has been so good this year, and the net rankings and the Ken Palm rankings are so high, that effectively every Big Ten game that you played has been an NCAA tournament game. You're playing against that level of competition, and there's been every one of these games has been intense as could be. I mean, it's so hard to win on the road. That's why, one of the things that Terps have been really successful at, I mean, they play pretty well away from home relative to the way the rest of the conference played well away from home. So, that speaks to the fact that a senior point guard, they got a bunch of guys who can make plays. And, there's a lot that goes into what goes on here in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And I'm just excited to see where this team sort of and everything told. It could be a great March.
Yeah, I feel like the Terrapins are better on the road since January, because I think before that they were struggling a little bit on the road.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain games that turn it around. Obviously, you scored the last 7 points of the game to win at Indiana, the last 14 of the game to win at Michigan State, and then maybe the best performance of the season was the one at Illinois. Illinois, when we rolled into Champaign, the local papers and the local media there were talking about it being the biggest game in Champaign in 15 years. And so to win on the road in that environment, in those environments, those will do a lot for your psyche, for sure.
Exactly. So, Chris, thank you so much for coming on this today, and I'll see you hopefully Friday night out there in Indianapolis, and hopefully it'll be a great time. And I hope there's a lot of Maryland fans that make that 9-hour trip. We are, but I don't know if they're flying or driving. But I think they might be driving. You never know.
It's the beauty of Indianapolis. It's an easy get to. Thanks for having me, Chris.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks. All right, bye. See you. Bye. All right, well, welcome back to the update here on the update desk here on the sports desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We have our good friend Daniel Steelclaimer, who came on last week. He is down there in DC right now, watching the Northeastern take on Hofstra. I guess it's at the second media timeout there. What's the score?
So at this under 8-minute timeout for the first half, we have Northeastern continuing to lead Hofstra 21-15. One concern for Northeastern is that Tyson Walker, one of their starters, has appeared to re-aggravate a shoulder injury from earlier in the tournament. He is currently being looked at the end of the team bench, had his jersey removed, and was having an apparatus reinstalled in the shoulder area there, trying to get that ready to get him back in action. But he is completely out, and that has allowed Deshaun Bowie, who Tyson Walker was starting before, to get in a little bit more of a rhythm. However, Northeastern still is holding on to that multi-possession lead.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it looks like it's been one of those, they've been holding to that 5-6 point lead right now. But if Northeastern wins, they go to the NCAA tournament, and Hofstra goes to the NITs, right?
That would be correct, and it would be a real difficult blow for Hofstra to have consecutive years as one of the higher seeds, if not the highest seed in the tournament, only to be knocked out in the final round. So this is really, I wouldn't say make or break for Hofstra, but definitely the Pride definitely feel as though this is their window and they need to seize it while they can. And Northeastern is a similar phenomenon with Jordan Rowland, their star player, being a senior. These are both teams that are really desperate to get it done this year. They are ready to win now. It's how they've gotten here, and they want to continue to push and continue to jockey the position as we get closer to halftime.
Yeah. Well, talk about real quick, how's the crowds down there tonight on a Tuesday night? I know DC has a lot of things going on, but how's the crowds?
Well, I would say that it isn't the largest of the tournament, although you do get a bigger walk-up for the final round. I will say that William & Mary probably brought the biggest single showing for a game, and that was in the quarterfinals, the Tribe's only game of the tournament. So I'd say not having William & Mary, not having Drexel or Delaware, two more proximate schools in terms of DC, hurts it a little bit, but there's still a lot of energy. It's a championship round, and the intensity is high.
And also, you can't forget Towson, because they're 55 minutes away.
Exactly. Yeah, Towson would really be the closest of the bunch, but right. They also suffered that first round exit.
Yeah, it seems like every year, dude. It seems like every year Towson, they have a good regular season, and then they get to the CAA tournament, something happens. So I guess we'll find out next year what happened.
Yeah, I would never count Towson out. The thing about Towson is that, in my observations, they're always going to play good defense. They're always going to grab offensive boards. They're going to be a scrappy team. They're going to make it work for every point you get. And that's where you're going to win in March. So, unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for the Tigers in recent years when it comes to the conference format. But I wouldn't count out Pat Scarry in that bunch.
No. All right, Daniel. Thank you so much for your update, and we'll talk to you at the half. Excuse me, at the half.
Talk to you then.
All right, man. We'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. The taste of love is sweet when hearts like ours meet. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire, the ring of fire.
Gypsy woman told my mother before I was born, you got a boy child's coming, wanna be a son of a gun. You're gonna make pretty women's jump and shout, and then the world wanna know what this all about. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. When I'm the hoochie coochie man, everybody knows I'm here. I got the black cat bone, I got a mojo too. I got the John the Conqueror. Gonna mess with you. I'm gonna make you girls lead me by my hand, and then the world will know the hoochie coochie man. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. When I'm the hoochie coochie man, everybody knows I'm here. On the seventh hour, on the seventh day, on the seventh month, the seven doctors say he was born for good luck, that you'll see. I got $700. Don't you mess with me, 'cause you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We have Dalton Shelter with us, who does a lot of broadcast. He's the producer for the Michigan State Radio Network and also a broadcaster. He does, I think, you do the pregame show and you fill in once in a while on as an analyst. But he's going to get ready for this weekend's Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis, Indiana, or the home of the Indiana's Pacers this weekend, the Banker Life Fieldhouse. So, Dalton, have you ever been to that Fieldhouse? Is it pretty cool? Does it have a lot of Larry Bird stuff in there?
You know, I didn't see as much Larry Bird stuff. There is some neat stuff, and it's actually funny you bring this up because, of course, I mean, you mentioned I cover Michigan State, but I grew up in Indiana, and I grew up playing high school basketball. I ended up playing some small-level college basketball in Indiana, so I've been in that building so many times for state championship games. I remember seeing Gordon Hayward end up winning state titles down there. I remember seeing the Zeller brothers come through. So I've been in that building a lot and watched a lot of basketball. But no, it's a great, great venue. And Indianapolis, you'll come to learn, is, I mean, for a basketball tournament, there's not a better city on the map than Indianapolis.
Yeah, they love their basketball. It's like Texas, they love their football, and Florida loves their football. Yep. And, you know, here in Maryland, they love lacrosse. You know, it's just Indiana's their state sport. Basketball is their state sport.
You don't even have to have a team, a rooting interest. You just know that basketball's going around somewhere within a certain mile radius, and you just get your tickets and go. I mean, it's just like that in Indiana.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Michigan State. They play Friday night, game number 9 at 6:30 against the winner of Purdue and Ohio State. What do you see out of that Purdue-Ohio State game? It's going to be on, I think that'll be the Thursday. It's actually a Thursday game at 6:30. What do you think about that game?
That one's going to be really interesting. Purdue is fighting for their life. Purdue is a team that's kind of on the bubble, I guess, at this point. Their record's right around 500, but Lenardi still has them on the last 4 out or second to last 4 out in his projections. So they're still fairly close. They have a chance, but they'd have to make a real run, just about the whole thing, to really be considered as an at-large, or they're just going to have to win this whole thing just to be an automatic qualifier. But Purdue has a pretty solid backcourt. When you start thinking about Northeastern, what he's able to do defensively, you consider Sasha Stefanovic, what he's able to do from the outside as a shooter. And then they have this great size on the inside with Matt Harms. And also they got another guy down there, Trey Williams, who's another big body, a big load. And he should go toe-to-toe with Caleb Wesson, who's the 6'9", 270-pounder star for Ohio State.
Wow.
He's averaging, I think, 14 and 10 this year. So, and Caleb had a great year. Ohio State's the best three-point shooting team in the Big Ten Conference. So it'll be interesting to see if that backcourt for Purdue can try and put the clamps down on that three-point arsenal from Purdue. And it'll be fun to watch those big bodies. Because Harms, we mentioned, he's 7'2". He's skinny, but he's 7'2". And then you got 2 really big bodies in Weston Williams going at it.
Yeah. Well, can we see a Maryland Michigan State Part 3 on Saturday afternoon at after the 1 o'clock game?
I think you most certainly could. I think both those teams get such a huge advantage when you consider the double bye, and that's why it's so critical to finish in the top 4 in the conference. And it's critical for all these teams to try and get a piece of that Big Ten championship, which, of course, both of them ended up doing along with Wisconsin. But because that means everybody, to get to your game, had to play their way into your game. So I think it's such a huge advantage. I absolutely could see where we have Michigan State and Maryland Part 3. And honestly, I think that would be one great ball game to have there in Indianapolis, too, if that happens.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I see basically all top 4 teams, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan State, and Maryland moving on. Been facing each other in on a Saturday afternoon. Like winner goes Sunday to the title game, and it would be like winner take all pretty much.
Yeah, I can see it too. And the other thing though about this tournament is so much more so than any other tournament. I could see literally just about anything else too. I mean, the Big Ten is just brutal this year. And it's funny, like Ohio State's the 7th seed, right? We just talked about them. Actually, it was Emily Giambalvo of the Washington Post who tweeted out that Ohio State's the 7th seed in the Big Ten tournament. They're the 8th ranked team by the Ken Palm rankings nationally. I mean, it just goes to show just how goofy this year has been for the Big Ten. But no, it's absolutely loaded with talent. I could see a bunch of different teams actually making a run at this. But logically speaking, just it makes sense with the double bye. You get a little bit more rest. I like some of the top seeds to advance.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a great weekend for basketball throughout, even in Indiana and New York. And I know we have the scare of this virus rolling around that everybody's afraid of, because they think it's going to be in a big arena. But what do you have to do with this? Are you about this whole thing, this coronavirus? What's the steps Michigan State taking for this stuff?
Honestly, it's funny you brought that up. That got brought up at the presser earlier today too, and I had a couple of people ask me too, like, what are you planning on doing? And honestly, I don't have an answer. I don't really know. This stuff is really happening real quick in the sports world. The stuff meaning different proposals, different ideas of how we should go about things. I honestly don't have a grip or a pulse on what happens to me, what we're even possibly going to be seeing at some point. I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts, so I'm next to helpless on that answer. I'm sorry.
Me too. I'm helpless too. I'm like, my buddy who helps me out said, "What are we gonna do?" I'm like, "Well, we'll just head on out there, dude. We'll just wash our hands and clean ourselves a lot better than we do here, and because this is our house, your home. You have your own germs. Out there is different germs."
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about this whole NCAA basketball this year. It's been a very up and down year. You got a lot of new teams like Rutgers, being only losing one game at home, and you got Ohio State, who started out really well, and they kind of fumbled a little bit in the middle of the year, and then you got Penn State, who came out of nowhere, because normally Penn State basketball is not the sport up there; it's football. Same as and in Maryland is basketball. But you guys, so it's just talk about the whole league in general. It's cool to see different teams playing in different games in this bracket.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll kind of flip through them all. Rutgers, you kind of felt this energy coming from Steve Pikiell. You just didn't know if it actually would come through. And had Rutgers not went through a tough stretch, I mean, we would have been talking about Rutgers a little bit higher there in that Big Ten tournament seeding as well. But Geo Baker has been clutch for them. They've just fought so hard. They've been such a gritty team, and they've been a lot of fun to watch. You brought up Penn State. It's interesting because Pat Chambers really had a solid roster a year or two ago where he had these guys, Lamar Stevens, Mike Watkins, and he had a Tony Carr in the mix too. Tony Carr leaves early, and then Lamar Stevens stays for his 4th year this year, and Lamar Stevens ends up, I believe he's going to become the all-time leading scorer in Penn State basketball history. He's going to pass Taylor Battle's mark and leave his mark on the program and just completely has changed this team and made them an NCAA tournament team, which they've been kind of hoping Pat Chambers would get them there. They stuck it out with them this last year to see if they could do it, and they did. Then Illinois, you got a really underclass team. You got Ida Sumu, who is a sophomore, Georgie Bashanis-Billy, a sophomore, and then you got Kofi Coburn, who ended up being the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, who stands 7 feet tall and as thick yet he is built as a freshman. So you have so many different pieces. You have Luka Garza, who had the 5th greatest single season in Big Ten basketball history for conference games, with scoring, I think, 26.2 points per game in conference play. I think he had 16 straight games of 20-some points plus. Wisconsin, it's amazing that Wisconsin ended up winning share of this Big Ten title, because you consider that they don't have a first-team All-Big Ten member, a second-team All-Big Ten member. It's not the same, I suppose you could say, talent level that a lot of these other teams are dealing with, but they found a way, and they deserve a lot of credit. Maryland, they had a great lead in the Big Ten. Cowan and Smith are playing at a really high level. And then I could go on and on about Michigan State and the season they had, and maybe we could do that here in a minute. But Michigan State and Ohio State both had a little bit of a roller coaster type of season. Ohio State faced some adversity with DJ Carton leaving the program, who was a freshman who was putting in more than 10 points a game. They're still trying to get Kyle Young healthy. That's another big thing for him. He's kind of the heartbeat of that Buckeye team. But nonetheless, it's been an incredible conference where, I don't know, maybe we're looking at 9 to 10 teams in the big dance at the end.
Exactly. Well, Dalton, it's great to talk to you. I hope to see you this weekend out there in Indianapolis, and we'll talk more. And hopefully, you guys have a great game Friday night. It's going to be at 6:30 on BTN, and then follow that at 25 minutes after that game. Maryland faces probably Penn State or Nebraska or Indiana.
Sounds good. Yeah, it should be a great time. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, man. We'll see you soon. We'll talk to you later. We'll be right back with our good friend Shelby Miss, who does the bracketology for USA Today. We'll talk about his brackets. I want to ask him Dayton, the number 1 seed in the East. That's something I want to ask him. We'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk. As an update, right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. First of all, in the ACC, the first game in the ACC tournament, the first game goes to Pitt, beating Wake Forest 81-72. So I guess Wake Forest will be looking for a new coach as of tomorrow. But right now we have Daniel Steelklamer, who is down in Washington, D.C. at the Northeastern Hofstra championship game in the CAA. What's the at the half? What's the score?
After leading throughout the first half, Northeastern has held on to that lead, recording a 30-28 lead at the break. They've had their lead trimmed to 2, but I think if you're Northeastern, you have to be pretty happy if someone told head coach Phil Collins at the beginning of the night that his team would be up by 2 against the top seed in the whole tournament at the break in the final round. I think he'd be pretty pleased with that. And really, Northeastern's done a pretty good job against Hofstra shooters. You look specifically at Hofstra's three-point shooting. Yesterday, they really decimated Delaware with the three-point shot. And tonight, not so much, 4 for 14. The pride is from the three-point line. That comes out to 28.6%. So Northeastern doing a pretty good job coming off the ball screens and guarding the three-point line and really keeping this more of a low-scoring game. I think the more it gets into a track meet, the more it becomes a 70, 80-point kind of pace game. That's where it favors Hofstra. The more grinded out kind of game probably favors Northeastern. They can lean on their scorers and Jordan Rowland and Max Gorsico to get them across the finish line, but not in a three-point shooting contest with DeJour Bowie and Eli Pemberton and the rest. Jordan Rowland is a good three-point shooter in his own right, but just looking at the summation of all the parts on each team, on each roster, Hofstra definitely has a little bit of that shooting advantage. So for Northeastern to keep it a low-scoring game is positive for Hofstra.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Northeastern has a 42%. They're shooting 42% from the field. Hofstra 30%, and Northeastern has 44% from the three-point line. So that's a statistic that if you're Hofstra, you want to have a better statistic on.
Absolutely, and it comes down to really the team started trading baskets as the first half went on. Northeastern saw its lead against Slimmer, but they kept trading baskets and it looked like Northeastern was ready to keep pace. Now, another thing that goes hand in hand with that is the rebounding. You look at Northeastern currently being out-rebounded by Hofstra 23-17. So that does not go entirely well for the Huskies. You look at as the game wears on, the more possessions you can accumulate if you're Hofstra or Northeastern. The more you get your ball in your hands of your scorers, the better your chances are going to be naturally. So definitely control the boards and really get good looks for your shooters is going to be key as this night goes on, because I really see this coming down to a single-digit game down the stretch. I don't really necessarily see one team pulling away. I don't think Hofstra possibly has the shooting touch that it did against Delaware or even the prior round against Drexel. So it definitely looks like a game that's going to continue to go back and forth, and we'll really see what happens and who can pull this one out.
Exactly. Well, Daniel, go take a break, relax, get ready for the second half, and we'll talk to you at the 7-minute mark at the second half.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan. Thanks.
All right, man. We'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio with Shelby Mast, who is the bracketology for USA Today. We'll talk to him in a couple minutes right here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Stay away from my window. Stay away from my back door too. Disconnect the telephone line.
and sit right down. Loosen up that pretty French gown. Let me pour you a good long drink. Ooh, baby, don't you hesitate, 'cause tonight's the night. It's gonna be alright, 'cause I love you, girl. Ain't nobody gonna stop us now. Come on, angel, my heart's on fire.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk. A really special edition of the Sports Desk here tonight. It's 8 o'clock on a Tuesday because tomorrow all the big conference games have started. They started some of them tonight. We have our good friend Shelby Mass with us from the USA Today Bracketology. He does a lot of those brackets. He has a website. It's a very cool website. It has everything breaking down in the last 4 in, 4 out, who's moving in, moving out. I like this one part, Shelby. Who's on life support? I like that. That's good. Yeah, who's on who's on life support? So anyway,
They're still there.
yeah, they're still there. So let's talk about Syracuse. They have to play the winner tonight of North Carolina and Virginia Tech. So if they win that game tomorrow against maybe a North Carolina team or a Virginia Tech team, can they get in there, or they still need to win a couple more games?
No, they have to get to the finals of the ACC tournament to be under serious consideration. They probably are in a position where they have to win the whole thing, but just winning one game is not going to do anything. They've got to win multiple games and do it decisively.
Yeah. Let's talk about the the Colonial Athletic Conference championship game that's going on right now. The Huskies of Northeastern's up 30-28 at the half. You have Hofstra in the tournament as a 14 seed, but you don't have Northeastern. So I guess if Northeastern wins, they switch swap with each other, but they're not going to be a 14 seed, right?
Well, probably not. They'll flip flop. It's a one big conference, so I usually just put the first place team in there. It's more like a placeholder. If they were to win it, then I'll reevaluate. And I got a feeling they'd probably be on the 15 line, but they could end up on the 14 line if there's enough teams that are lower rated than them on the 15 line.
Yeah. Let's look at the seedings. I was going to ask you about Dayton. They're 29-2. They're playing in the they're playing in the MAC, right?
No, A10.
A10. I keep forgetting. I drove past it one time. I saw the arena. It looked like a chicken box. It was pretty interesting in Dayton, Ohio. That's my point of view. But Dayton 29-2. They're going to be you have them picked at the number 1 seed, along with Kansas, Baylor, and Gonzaga. But Baylor lost. They've been losing the last 3 out of 4 games going into the tournament. So what are you going to see? Can anybody from those the South and the West could take over Baylor?
It's possible. They have been on a bit of a losing streak, but they had done enough good during the season that there was such a gap between them and everybody else that they're going to have to lose their next game to be considered off of the 1 line. It could happen that teams on the 2 line would need to win out for that to happen, but I feel comfortable they're going to be on the 1 line come selection Sunday.
Yeah. With all the teams that just punched their tickets, like Winthrop and Bradley and Liberty and all that stuff, out of those in Belmont, which ones do you think might win their first play? I know Liberty last year won their first tournament game, but I think they played Virginia Tech in the second round and lost to Virginia Tech. So that's like a Commonwealth thing. But can you see any of those schools that I just mentioned could win maybe their first or maybe their 4th NCAA tournament?
I can see Liberty winning a round or 2, Utah State, and East Tennessee State. East Tennessee State, I'm pretty high on them. I think they are a very, very good team, and they are going to give 1 or 2 teams fifth. I don't think they can make a run to the Sweet 16, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah. Let's talk about Utah State. That was I want to say a heck of a 3-pointer at the end of the game to beat a very good San Diego State team. And now San Diego State is completely. Are they still in the tournament, or are they completely now going to the NITs because of that?
No, they're in. They're going to be a 2 seed, probably at worst.
they've had a phenomenal year, 30-2. That's an NCAA team, and they will be a tough out.
Yeah, tough. Yeah, they should be a tough out. Should be a good matchup there in the West again, and they might face Gonzaga in the Elite Eight, right?
Yeah, they could. That's where they end up, and I feel pretty confident that's where they will end up. If they Gonzaga keep winning, then yes, that will be a very fun West Coast flavored championship game to go to the Final Four.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about, we're in the big, we do the Big Ten stuff and the ACC stuff here on HerbFM Sports Radio. Let's talk about Maryland. They finally won on Sunday against Michigan. You have them as a 4th seed in the East, and I think you have them going to Greensboro, play Akron and something like that. So, what does Maryland have to do to probably get a better seed? Do they have to win the whole Big Ten tournament, but they have to go through probably Michigan State or Wisconsin or maybe in Illinois?
Yeah, they would have to win. I think if they got to the final, they would be in contention for the 3 line. But I think if they win it, they would end up there. Their recent slide has kind of brought out some weaknesses that they have. The committee won't necessarily bring them too much for that. But I'm comfortable with them on the 4 line right now with a chance to go to the 3 line, might fall to the 5 line even.
All right, so the first 4 out, you have Cincinnati, UCLA, Northern Iowa, and Texas. So I guess Shaka Smart needs to win a couple games in the Big 12 championship. But I heard that he might be on the move to possibly take one of the ACC jobs.
I hadn't heard that, so I don't know. I think the Texas fans want him gone. He has not worked out there. He's still a good coach. He just, for whatever reason, didn't work, and that happens sometimes. But they play Texas Tech in their first Big 12 tournament game, and that game feels like a play-in game. The loser might be going to the NIT, and the winner, for the time being, would probably be in the field of 68.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about, there was a team last year that made it to the Final Four, Texas Tech. You have them as a play-in game against Stanford. Wow, did Texas Tech just completely went all the way down to a play-in game? Because I know this time last year they were like, what, a 3 seed or a 4 seed?
Yeah, they were a 3 seed. It was a different team. They lost a lot of players, and they replaced them with lesser players. Still good players, but lesser. And they had a pretty weak schedule and didn't win enough big games to be considered for a higher seed. They've got 13 losses, and for that large team, that's the most I have for any large team right now. I'm wavering on whether I really think they're going to be in or not. I think if they beat Texas, they will probably be in. But they need help. They're not set on being in. And forget last year's results. Those don't come into play at all. They're this year only.
Yeah. So do you think Virginia is going to be one of those sleepers? Because I know they're the defending champs, but nobody has given them any chance this year because they lost a lot of players like Texas Tech. Do you feel like Virginia's one of those under the radar, or do you have any other teams that might sneak in if it's Final Four weekend?
I like Virginia. I like the way they're playing right now. They had some early season troubles. I think it was mainly due to basically a new roster, new guys playing together that hadn't played together that much. And Tony Bennett, once he got his players working and all on the same pace, they've been really, really good. I've got them on the 6th line right now. If they win the ACC tournament, I could see them on the 4 line. And that is a team I'm absolutely watching that I think has the potential to make a Final Four run. I don't know if they're capable of going back-to-back with the championships, but I sure wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah. Well, Shelby, tell everybody where they can find your website, because it's very cool. You have it all broken down until, how you pick your seeds and all that stuff. It's really neat. How long do you take this? How long does it take for you to do this every week? Is it does it take 2, 3, or?
I update it every day, so it just depends on how many games there are. This Thursday and Friday is going to be insane for me. There's games all day long. My website is bracketwag.com. You can find me on Twitter at bracketwag and in USA Today Sports.
Yeah, and I guess you got to get a lot of pot of coffee and call for a lot of takeout for pizzas for the weekend, right?
Yeah, it's going to be something along those lines. Not much sleep. I try to take a nap during the day if I can, but yeah, it's very hectic coming down the stretch here, and then by Sunday afternoon it's all done, and I try to find something else to do.
And then after it's all done, you'll be like, okay, when's next season start, right?
Yeah. I start looking ahead to next season right after the tournament, and I'll post a bracket for next year sometime in April.
Wow, that's cool. Well, Shelby, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll talk to you next week on our show, and we'll see how your brackets came out, just like the ones on on CBS. They're going to come out at 6:30 Eastern time on CBS this Sunday. We'll see how you and CBS look perfectly.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll be right back with our good friend Zach Brazazer, who covers from the New York Post. He covers the St. John's Storm right there in New York. We'll be right back here on HerbFM Sports Radio. All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We are live here in Cockeysville, Maryland, and we just got you got done listening to Eddie Rabbit with "Driving Our Life Away," and we have our good friend Zach Braziller with us, who covers basically more of the Big East up there in New York and Seton Hall and St. John's. And St. John's tomorrow is playing their bitter rivals in Georgetown in the first round of the Big East tournament. So Zach, just talk about that big game. It's a first rounder between St. John's Red Storm against the Hoyas of Georgetown. It's going to be a pretty decent game there at the Garden.
Yeah, I mean, Georgetown flipped the series, and there were two weird games. The first game, St. John's was terrible. It was in D.C. They were down like 25. Came back, almost made a game of it. And the second game at the Garden, St. John's was killing Georgetown. They're up 17 midway through the second half, and Georgetown came back and beat them. And, adding to this game is, usually the 8-9 seed you think doesn't really have a chance against the 1, but Creighton is without their star point guard Marcus Zagorowski in the quarterfinals, which makes you think the winner of St. John's Georgetown has a decent shot to pull the upset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was just looking at St. John's record, 1-8 on the road, but at home they're 13-6. I guess you want to call Madison Square Garden a home game tomorrow night.
Yeah, they've been two different teams. I mean, they've been very competitive at home. They beat Creighton. They beat Providence. They should have beat Seton Hall, Butler, Georgetown, and Xavier. They grew late weeks against them. This team has played very well at home, and look, it's a young team. It's an inexperienced. I guess you would kind of expect that to be the case for a young team to struggle the way to their building. But yeah, they're going to be home here, and we'll see what happens. I think I like them tomorrow night. I think they've been playing better, and so we'll see what happens tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on, you can watch it on FS1. With a game at 7 o'clock in New York, is that a good time for people who are going to fill up Madison Square Garden, or do they just care about, they don't care what time this game is?
No, I think for Wednesday night, I think the time is fine. I really like, everyone looks forward to the biggest tournament. Obviously, we have the coronavirus going on, so some of those attendance will be down a little because of that. But, Big East tournament is a really fun tournament. This year the league is really good, so it should be a really fun few days.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this virus going around. You guys have it worse up there, with a couple more outbreaks than we do down here. So what are they doing? What is the Big East doing to accommodate that whole virus thing?
Well, it hasn't really been that bad here. I think it's more like Ohio, California, Seattle. They're going to be here from being in the clubhouse, in the locker rooms, but otherwise it's just the same kind of thing. I mean, everyone's really interested to see what's going to happen now with the NCAA tournament. This is really unprecedented waters, for what's going to happen. I mean, it stinks. It's sort of in March, and then we have this virus going around that people really don't know what to expect from. So it kind of changes things. I know the prices have been a little down on the secondary market regarding from what I've seen. Mm-hmm. But, we'll see. I mean, I still expect the crowd to be good, especially if St. John's can, make a little run, maybe get a Friday night. I think that would, maybe even lighten it a little bit. But I don't expect it to make that much of an impact, unless we see a huge uptick in cases.
Right, exactly. That's true. Let's talk about Seton Hall. You cover Seton Hall as well. I think they took the conference title away from Villanova. I guess Villanova was very upset with Seton Hall for that.
Well, they split. It was a three-way tie. It was Seton Hall, Villanova, Creighton. Creighton finished, it's Seton Hall, so they had the 1, Villanova the 2, and Seton Hall the 3. Seton Hall had a good year. They finished a little slow. They lost their last game to Villanova and Creighton. They had a good year. They have a terrific player, Miles Powell, and I think they could win this tournament just like probably a lot of teams could win this tournament.
That's true. So what's your prediction for this Big East tournament? Who's going to be playing for the final on Saturday night at 6:30 on FS Fox Sports 1?
I predicted Providence to play Seton Hall. You know, like I said, Creighton is not the same team without their point guard. I think St. John's is going to beat them on Friday. I think Providence has been terrific. You know, they've been terrible in our conference, and they've been really, really good in the league. They were 12-6. They've been some of the league's best teams. You know, I like Providence and Seton Hall in the title game.
That's cool. Well, Zach, thank you so much for coming on tonight. Good luck with the enjoy the games this weekend. I hope you have this week with the Big East, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
All right, we'll be right back with Steve Jones, the voice of the Penn State basketball. We'll join him at 8:45 right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
This shit that ice cold. Michelle fight for that white gold. This one for them hood girls, them good girls, straight masterpieces. Stylin', wildin', living it up in the city. Got Chuck's on with Saint Laurent. Gotta kiss myself, I'm so pretty. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band bought that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk don't give it to you. Saturday night and we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch. Come on. Don't believe me, just watch. 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 Hey, 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 oh! Stop. Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some nigga in it. Take a sip, sign the check. Julio, get the stretch. Right to Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show up, we gon' show out. Smoother than a fresh drop. Skip it. I'm too hot. Call the police and the fireman. I'm too hot. Make a dragon wanna retire, man. I'm too hot. Bitch, say my name, you know who I am. I'm too hot. And my band bought that money. Break it down. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. Thanks for joining us. We're live here on a special night, Tuesday night, the 10th of March. We got some news and notes coming around with this virus. The Ivy League decided to postpone their tournament for both men and women's today. Yeah, so they're not playing theirs. And then the folks in Cleveland, who have the Mid-America Conference, will start their tournaments with no fans at all, because according to the governor of the state of Ohio, Mike DeWine, recommended that sporting events in an indoor facility in the state take place without any spectators, because they're trying to control this virus. Yeah, so basically we'll see a lot of, but meanwhile the Columbus Jackets will play their home games Thursday and Saturday in front of fans. So I guess they said they're they don't they've been in contact with the league. So we'll see here. Same thing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They have a 6-game road trip in Chicago, but they don't play until March 24th. Interesting, folks. Very interesting. Coming up at 9 o'clock on ESPN, number 2 Gonzaga, hopefully winning their conference championship. They'll take on Mount St. Mary's College. That's at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on ESPN. And we'll get back to the schedule here, the scores. So, folks, thanks for joining us here on HerbFM Sports Radio. It's a privilege to do this show every week for you. We'll see, right now North Carolina and Virginia Tech are going at it down there in Greensboro, North Carolina. Let's see, that's on the ACC network with our good friend Wes Durham doing the broadcast. So we'll see the scoreboard on that one. So Daniel will be giving us a call shortly. 8:45. We got Steve Jones, the voice of the Penn State basketball, will join us. Oh, excuse me, at 8:30. We forgot somebody at 8:30. We got Kyle's interview at 8:30. We got Kyle Troop. We'll put him on shortly. We got a schedule change here coming up. Around 9:45, we'll have the Coach Swan from Bowie State basketball will be joining us at 9:45 at the end of the show. So we'll talk to her about her team playing in the the ACC, the NCAA tournament. 9:30, Joe Giulio, who writes for the Philly Inquirer, will join us at 9:30, and Madeline Kenny, who writes for the Chicago Times, will join us at 9:15. And our good friend Trevor Groves from CUTigers.com will talk ACC basketball as well with him. Clemson taking on Miami tomorrow night down there in Greensboro. And at 9 o'clock, we have Sam Fulter, who is the sports reporter for the Washington Post. He covers the Nationals. We'll talk some Nationals baseball with him as well. We're going to take a break, but in the meantime, let's give you a score update. In the second half, North Carolina 50, Virginia Tech 36. So it looks like North Carolina is, just putting the pressure on Virginia Tech right now to win a date against the good old, win a date against Syracuse tomorrow night. And you can watch that game on ESPN. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll get a hold of our good friend Daniel, who is actually there at the arena down there in DC. We'll see how the game is going. But in the meantime, we'll play our interview with Kyle Troop, who won the doubles tournament this past weekend on the Professional Bowlers Tour. We'll play his interview in a minute here. Hold on one second. See which one it is. What's this Kyle? Okay. This is Kyle. Is that the second guy? Alright. Alright, here is our interview with Kyle Troop right here on the Sports Desk here. Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We have Kyle Troop with us, the winner, one of the partners of who won, his other partner is probably bowling with him into Vegas. He won the doubles championship last Sunday on Fox Sports 1. So, Kyle, thanks for joining us. Just talk about being the top seed. You had the Iceman there who basically gave you guys a really good cushion, going into the step out final.
Yeah, what a week it was being able to bowl Jesper Svensson. First off, he's one of the that he is the strongest strike ball in the sport, and it definitely showed in Indy. He had an unbelievable week. He actually made the cut by himself in the doubles qualifying, so that made my job a little easier. Just trying to keep up as much as I could, but fast forward through the match play, we really worked well all week, and getting to bowl with my best friend, somebody that I've been traveling with for a while now on tour, getting to bowl with him on TV. It was a dream come true that week.
Yeah, it seems like you guys have good chemistry with each other. When to pick. He knows when to pick you up, and he knows when to pick him up, and this is a good teamwork.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we believe that some of the best doubles duos in PBA history have some of the best chemistry, and we're both young guys. We both cut up. We both have a good time. We both get pissed off, and we both really focus in whenever we get in the zone, and so it just really works good for us. We bounce off of each other, keep each other in it. And, we both had great ball reaction. We were able to lead by 589 pins. And, it was just pretty much a dominating week for us in doubles.
Yeah. Does this championship means more to you? Because I know what you're going through in your family with the passing of your mother. And by the way, we're sorry to hear about your mother. And, we hope everything goes well with your family. Because, I know about family issues and people passing and all that stuff. It's tough on, your mind and your mental and everything else.
Now that I sit back and reflect on it, now that the week has passed and we're bowling another tournament now, and the day that I won, it felt like the most special title, to me. But they all are just as important. Whenever we look at the titles and how important they are, because each title adds an extra notch to my belt, lengthens my career. But it was very special to just win it, having Guppy there, my father, for the whole week. I flew him in on Monday. He was there, got to hang out with me and Jess for the entire week. So, to win it with him there, he had his best friend, that he ran the roads with, Barry Kiplinger, there beside him on the show. Me and Yester said we were going to win this tournament for Mom. He's also lost some loved ones in the last couple months. So it was just so special for so many people other than myself and Jesper. And that's just that's what made it, just that much more special and definitely a moment I'll never forget.
And you're having a friendly competition with your father. So are you 2 behind now, or what's the 3 behind now?
I'm actually call him out on the mic whenever we were doing the post-win, celebrations and talking and stuff off the air. But he's got 8. I'm up to 5. So.
Yeah, that's funny. That'll be funny if your father comes back out of retirement just to win one, just to make you like, hey, try again.
Yeah. Full league on Thursday nights. I don't think that's happening, unfortunately. As much as I would love to see it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the PBA shoes are on myself or maybe my younger brother.
That's true. Well, talk about being in Vegas. You said before we got on this interview, it's beautiful and it's nice and warm, but you're stuck in a bowling center for the next week and a half. So, are you going to do some sightseeing around Vegas if you can?
Yeah, I mean, it's really exciting that we're going to be stuck in a bowling center every day because we are bowling the World Series of Bowling, and that's the biggest event of the year. So we're excited to be out in Vegas. We're also excited to be out here in March and not June. Like I said, it's 75, 80 degrees. It's pretty much beautiful golf weather every single day. And I haven't played golf this year. I'm terrible at it, and I want to go swing the club a couple hundred times. But, this is a big event for us right now. I've been bowling pretty well so far, made the cheetah cut, and unfortunately finished with 4 splits in a row last night to miss the chameleon cut. So, but, sitting in a good position out here for the overall for the World Championship. We have one more major, this one, and then the Masters following. So a couple majors left, still lots of work to do on the season. And, you can enjoy the win for a while, but then you got to get back to work and back to punching the bag.
Yeah. I've never been to Vegas, but I heard somebody has a great restaurant out there in Gordon Ramsay. So we've been watching Hell's Kitchen, my girlfriend and I. So go stop by there. That might be good.
I've definitely, I've eaten a Gordon Ramsay burger too. He's definitely doesn't disappoint. That's the other great thing about Vegas out here. So many good food options, shows, different things to go see. You can really find anything to do in Vegas, but. We have to bowl right now, which is fine. Luckily, I do have a day off now after last night's performance later on next week, but it is what it is. We're just going to make the best of it all and just try and keep knocking them down.
Exactly. Just keep it going. Keep plugging along. Well, I will let you go because I know you got a lot of stuff to do, but when is the first of this World Series bowling going to be on Fox? Is it going to be this weekend? Or
let me think for 1 second.
Get all the listeners on our station to get ready to watch it again. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Saturday. Yes, Saturday night. Sunday. Sunday on FS1.
Okay.
We'll start the shows, and then it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have 4 straight days of television on FS1.
Wow. Well, that's going to be a grind.
It's a different pattern every day, and then we finish it up at the World Championship for the $100,000 million on the line. So, it's going to be a big week of TV bowling, starting on Sunday. So, hopefully get everybody to tune in because it's going to be some good shows.
If you get tired of the March Madness, turn over and watch Kyle. Kyle will have his own March Madness. So.
There we go. That's the plan.
Exactly. Well, sir, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, man. Thank you for having me.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
See you. Bye.
Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a legacy, manifest destiny. Back in the days we wanted everything, Mama said, burn your biographies, rewrite your history, light up your wildest dreams, museum victories. Every day we wanted everything, Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars when I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, so built for oddities, stranger crusades. Ain't ever wannabes, waiting the novelties that don't ever change. We wanted everything, Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Oh, stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Mama said.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll give you the scoreboard right now. In the American East bracket, Hartford is trailing Stony Brook by a score of 52-51. Up in Vermont, Vermont has a 51-45 lead on UMBC. Down in Greensboro, North Carolina is pulling away from Virginia Tech 68-43. And earlier today, Pitt beat Wake Forest 81-72. So that's going to be right now down in DC. There's 6:02 left in the second half. Hofstra has a 52-48. We'll have Daniel Steelkramer will call us shortly. With a update when they get to the 4-minute mark here. So hopefully we'll get him on. Now it's 52-50 Northeastern. I want to say thank you to Dave Ryan, who had an opportunity to. I had an opportunity to talk to him this afternoon via telephone before this game, so it was good to talk to him as well. So let's give you the schedule coming up here on the Sports Desk. Coming up at 8:45 in 4 minutes. Steve Jones, the voice of the Penn State basketball, will join us, and then Sam Fulton, the sports reporter for the Washington Post, will join us at 9. And then Trevor Groves, our good friend from CUTigers.com, will join us at 9:08. And then Manuel Kennedy from the Chicago Times, who covers a lot of basketball out there in Chicago for the Times. We'll talk to Paul basketball and other Chicago things going on. So and Joe Julian, who is the Inquirer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, beat writer for Villanova basketball. We'll talk to him about Big East for Villanova, see if they could win the tournament again. And then at 9:45, we'll talk to Chris Swan of Bowie State, and then we'll wrap up the show. So hopefully you folks are enjoying our show this evening here on HerbFM Sports Radio. So in the meantime, we'll get back to some great music here. In the meantime, here is Pearl Jam with Grievance right here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Have a drink, everybody.
All right. All right,
Yep,
folks.
all set.
All right. Welcome, folks. Welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We're talking to Steve Jones, the voice of the basketball team, and during the winter, the fall, he does the football as well, but during the winter, he does basketball. So, Steve, thanks for joining us. Big game coming up for Penn State on Thursday. You don't know who you're playing on Thursday night. The last game there at they're in Indianapolis. But just talking about the season for Penn State, seems like they had a great season, and a 6th seed is not bad in the tournament.
Well, this is a season where they really have put together, in a lot of ways, a record-breaking season here. It did not finish the way they want to. There's no question about that, so you can't sugarcoat that. But you're talking about a team that's won 21 games, 11 in the Big Ten, five road wins this year, including 4 in the Big Ten. Penn State's never won 4 road games in the Big Ten before. And then the road game they won non-conference was at Georgetown, when Georgetown had all of their players. Not the suspended Georgetown. I'm talking about the one they started the season with. They went there and won by 15. Their offense has, for the most part, been really, really good. They banked a lot on their defense. And it's been a really, really, really good season for Penn State. The best one I've seen around here in 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been around there. You've been around that Penn State for a very long time, so you don't really.
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah, but you don't really. People don't think Penn State basketball is in the same texture as Penn State football. Football is more dominant up there in State College than basketball. So it's kind of like right now they're trying to figure out what's going on up there at State College. Like, are we a football program, or are we a basketball program, or we just love our sports?
Well, I've always told everybody that, look, football season goes to a point, then comes to an end, and then basketball season spends 2/3 of its time, if not 75% of its time, in its own realm, its own spotlight. So they don't have to compete with each other. And I think what's happened here at Penn State is that nationally, football gets the justified publicity over time. And what basketball has done this season is they've extended Penn State's sports publicity, because obviously football and basketball are the 2 sports that most people really watch get into. It's on the bottom line of ESPN, and being this year, it's been incredible for them. Yeah,
and plus the locals are probably really excited about what Coach Chambers is doing, because he's been there a very long time, right?
Yeah, this is 9th year here, and of course it's my 38th year here. And what he's decided to do is that he's the one that really worked hard to get into Philadelphia. Pennsylvania is a state which has, every once in a while, some Power 5 talent. Maybe a player in Pittsburgh once in a while. Lonnie Walker from Reading, obviously, ended up going to the University of Miami. But usually between the Ohio border and southeastern Pennsylvania, it's pretty slim pickings on Power 5 talent in this state. So you have to go where the talent is. Well, the talent here in this state is in southeastern Pennsylvania, especially in the Philly area. Plus, they've done a good job of getting down into the Baltimore-Washington corridor, getting somebody like Miles Dredd, who played at Gonzaga, getting a guy like Josh Reese before that out of Fairfax. So they've done a good job expanding their recruiting footprint. They needed to. It's the only way you can compete.
Yeah, that's a good point. And plus with Maryland, you come into Maryland, you got a lot of good, we're here in Cockeysville, Maryland, and there's a lot of good players in these high schools, but it's fascinating. They all leave Maryland to go to you guys, or they go to Florida, and it's like they all complain about why, Coach Turgeon can't have all the homegrown talent. Well, if you don't go after them, and other schools do, you lose. That's what's the cookie crumbles.
Well, yeah, but look at Smith, who's awesome. Morcell, really good. Cowan. I'll be honest with you, Turge has done a great job. He really has. He is to win a Big Ten championship, or a share of one, is really impressive. And I'll tell you what really impressed me about him as a coach was the first year they were in the league. I know what the coaches here at Penn State went through when they first joined the Big Ten back in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Because now you had to go out, you had to learn all new opponents. You had to start from scratch on everybody, tendencies, player tendencies, things like that. Because normally you can sit there and say, okay, Let's look at Lamar Stevens. Well, this is a fourth straight year we face Lamar Stevens. So Lamar does this a little bit better now. He's made that better. Still some of the basic scouting reports seems that you have to do this for, at that time for Maryland, 13 new opponents. That is really impressive. So I watched it firsthand here about what it took for them to scout brand new people. And Mark Turgeon did that so well with Dennis Wells and those guys.
Yeah. I just feel like when Maryland finally won a coach championship, we followed Maryland and other sports as well, but for me being an ACC guy, it feels like that they finally won a Big Ten title that now we don't have to hear about the old days of the ACC. Now it's like, okay, you're in the Big Ten, enjoy. You finally won one. Now go, enjoy. Because I feel like around here you're still talking about.
The bottom line is Maryland's going to be in the Big Ten forever.
Right.
I mean, this is what they're going to do. I mean, so you make the best of what the situation happens to be. And I've said from day one that Maryland was, especially in basketball. Now in basketball, I said Maryland's an awesome addition. In fact, and I've told other people in this conference, I think there's a lot of places that have great atmospheres. Michigan State certainly would be one. I said, but nothing tops the Maryland atmosphere. So they got a lot of things going for them. And again, I think they've done a great job there. I think Maryland's done a terrific job.
Yeah, and I feel like they're doing a great job. And I think Maryland's more for basketball than for football, because football is really tough for anybody in football to recruit in the Big Ten. Even trying to get people to go to Maryland to play a Big Ten school like you guys, Penn State, Michigan, and all that stuff. I think basketball is what Maryland is.
Well, that's where they've had the head start, for example, on Penn State tradition-wise, because of what Lefty did way back when. In fact, the first game I ever did at Penn State, Lefty was the coach. It was down at the Baltimore Civic Center. It was Lenny Bias's first game I did. Was down there.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's how far back I go. But Lefty did an incredible job, which then set the tone. Eventually Gary Williams came in and did a great job. Mark Turgeon's doing a great job. And now Pat Chambers, who's had to fight the good fight here, and he has fought the good fight here, he has brought Penn State to the NCAA tournament because Penn State, as a basketball job, is a really tough job. And when you can take a really tough job, you can win in the Big Ten, you can win on the road in the Big Ten, you can get your team to the NCAA tournament. Pat Chambers has shown he's one heck of a coach.
It is. Well, Steve, it might be Maryland versus Penn State on Friday night. That might be a good matchup for everybody to watch at 9 o'clock.
Well, I'm hoping so, because that means Penn State would have won Thursday.
You want to stay in Indianapolis. You don't want to go home.
Yeah, I'd like to stay a little longer, because Johnny and I are going to go get some breakfast on Friday. I got plans, man.
Good old Johnny Holiday, good friend of ours, and he's you two are like the voices of basketball and football, so that's good.
Oh, God, no, he called me last night. We're like, hey, if Penn State wins Thursday, we already got plans for Friday before the game, so it's up to Penn State now to make it happen.
Yeah, and if that doesn't happen, Johnny's going to be upset. He might call me, and I might go for breakfast with him. I don't know. You never know.
If that happens, then you're the lucky guy, because he's one of the greatest guys on the planet.
Yeah, he's a very good guy, and it was good to. I'm glad to know him as well, and I'm glad to talk to you two, and so.
Appreciate that.
So I hope to see you hopefully Friday night. If not, we'll talk to you hopefully during the the tournament, if that's a possibility.
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. That was Steve Jones, the voice of the Penn State basketball. We'll be right back.
The gypsy woman told my mother, before I was born, you got a boy child's coming, wanna be a son of a gun. You're gonna make pretty women's jump and shout, and then the world wanna know what this all about. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. When I'm the hoochie coochie man, yeah. I got the black cat bone. I got a mojo too. I got the John the Conqueror. I'm gonna mess with you. I'm gonna make you girls leave me by my hand, and then the world will know the hoochie coochie man. But you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. Playing on the hoochie coochie man. Everybody knows I'm here. On the 7th hour, on the 7th day, on the 7th month, the 7 doctors say he was born for good luck. That you see, I got $700. Don't you mess with me, 'cause you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. Playing on the hoochie coochie man. Everybody knows I'm here.
Uptown got its hustlers, the Bowery got its bums. 42nd Street got Big Jim, a Walker, he a bull shooting son of a gun. Yeah, he big and dumb as a man can come, but he's stronger than a country horse. And when the bad folks all get together at night, you know they all call Big Jim boss, just because. And they say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull a mask off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Well, out of South Alabama come a country boy, said looking for a man named Jim. I am a bull shooting boy, my name is Willie.
back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. And if you just finished watching Hofstra playing Northeastern, Hofstra won the CEA championship tonight, 70-61 over Northeastern. So we have Sam Foxier with us, who writes for the Washington Post here, and Washington D.C. covers the Nationals. So Sam, thanks for joining us. Just talk about the Nationals so far. You were down there for a little bit for spring training. What did they look like when you were down there?
Yeah, I think the Nationals are really excited to obviously defend their World Series title, and right now that they're a little banged up. They got a couple key players, Adam Eaton, Will Harris, the reliever, who are going through a bumps and bruises. But I think overall they're really excited to get going and get out there and try to win some more ball games at the start of the season than they did last year.
Yeah. Well, what's his name? Matt Scherzer was supposed to start today, but he had a little scratch, like a little pain on the side. That's just normal here in spring training, right? Some people getting their bodies ready to go for the season, right?
He certainly hopes it is. I mean, obviously he had 2 or 3 different back issues last year. Things would compound and sort of hurt him further. So he's hoping this is just a little thing in his side and won't require more than he hopes. But obviously last year we saw he thought he was okay. He thought he was okay, and he ended up being not okay after a pretty spectacular first start. So where he actually is, I think, is going to be determined closer to opening day.
Yeah. Let's talk about Strasburg. I know he's been, this is just spring training. Nobody wants to have a 20.25 ERA, but, what did you see when you were down there? Was he working on some brand new stuff, getting himself ready to go, or it's just, getting all the kinks out of a long winter?
Steven Strasburg really reinvented himself last year. He went from a fastball dominant pitcher, using it 50-55% of the time, dropping it down to about a quarter. He uses his curveball about 31% of the time, and his changeup, which is, I think, one of the best pitches in baseball, about 25% of the time. So he's really not changing too much. He wants to sustain his success from last season. Last year was one of his most durable and dominant. And he became, one of the only pitchers ever to go 5-0 in one postseason, won the World Series MVP. So he's really just looking to continue what he had going last year, and he has a pretty specific and helpful routine. He'll visualize, he'll stretch, he does a lot of weight work, and really it's just game planning and how he's going to keep hitters off balance again this year. So that's really what we saw from him early in spring.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about tomorrow. I know you're not down there, but tomorrow they're playing the Astros. I know you were down there earlier in spring training, and they basically share the same facilities. So what was the feeling like going there to watch the game?
It's pretty remarkable because though they do share the same facility, it's kind of 2 separate worlds. They're about 500 feet from one another, but 2 very different clubhouses. Obviously, when they play a game, it's different. It's really, it kind of convenes and comes to a head. But other than that, it's really not too tense. And I think one of the reasons it's not tense, the Nationals are not one of the outspoken teams like the Dodgers and the Yankees. And I think it's because the Nationals won the World Series this year. They said, you can cheat if you want. They believe they cheated last year. But the Nationals won anyway. So it's kind of water under the bridge for these guys in terms of,
right,
demonstrating animosity toward the Astros for the sign for the scandal.
Yeah. Well, we're almost close to the end of spring training. What players do people who are following the Nationals want to follow to see if they might be there on opening day?
I think the most important player that the Nationals have to watch in camp this year is third baseman Carter Kieboom. He is the bet to replace Anthony Rendon at third. You can argue you can't replace Rendon. Perennial all-star, one of the best players in the league last year. But that is the guy that is chosen to man third base. He's had some defensive struggles so far this spring, but that's the guy that they're betting on at that position. Whether or not he breaks camp with the team is going to be hugely important if they think his defense has developed enough. And I think, if you look around, Eric Thames, the first baseman, who's going to play against right-handers to share with Ryan Zimmerman, the left-handers. Eric Thames is a really important addition. I think he can really get the ball against right-handers. As the Nationals on the wild card game when Thames was with Milwaukee, he had a home run and a double last year. And I think the other guy you got to watch out for is Victor Robles. So we talk about replacing Anthony Rendon's production lineup. You're not going to get all the way there, but having Carter Kieboom step up and Victor Robles, the center fielder, the speedy guy, take a next step in his development, learn the strike zone, and attack the pitches he can really do damage with. I think those are the three guys that maybe are a little bit under the radar, but Nationals fans certainly watch out for.
Yeah. Well, we're almost 2 weeks away from Nationals being home for a homecoming game against the futures of the Nationals. The people in the minor leagues, but they all start March 26th at Citi Field when the Mets home opener at 1 o'clock. So, Sam, thanks so much, and we'll keep in touch with you.
Of course, thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back here on the Sports Desk with our good friend Trevor Groves, where we'll check in with our good friend Daniel Steelkramer. We'll talk to him shortly right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
McCoy, but down home they call me Slim. Yeah, I'm looking for the king of 42nd Street. He drive on a drop top Cadillac. Last week he took all my money and it may sound funny, but I come to get my money back. And everybody say, Jack, don't you know that you don't tug on Superman's cape? You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull the mask off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. Well, a hush fell over the pool room, and Jimmy come popping in an awful street. And when the cutting was done, the only part that wasn't bloody was the soles of the big man's feet. Yeah, he was cutting about 100 places, and he was shot in a couple more. And you better believe I sung a different kind of story when a big Jim hit the floor. Yeah, they saying you don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull the mask off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Slim. Yeah, Big Jim got his hat. Find out where it's at. It's not hustling people strange to you. Even if you do got a two-piece custom-made bull cue. Yeah, you don't tug on Superman's.
All right, folks, our last update from the CAA championship game with Daniel Steelkramer with us. Daniel, what happened?
The Hofstra Pride are your 2019-2020 CAA champions. I'm happy to report it was a really nice scene to see here in D.C. Just the emotion from Coach Joe Mahalik and the rest of the squad to finally get it done in the year for many of their star players. And really, the turning point of this game was it was a little bit of a second half of runs. Each of the teams went through some spurts of scoring, but Hofstra was able to get Jordan Rowland and Max Forsico, two of Northeastern's keepers, into some heavy foul trouble. Both of them incurred their fourth foul in rapid succession, so both had to come out with over about 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, so that really set the tide in favor of Hofstra, got them the momentum. Deshaun Bowie was outstanding down the stretch. He hit a really clutch and one to really widen that lead and give Hofstra the momentum needed to get across the finish line.
Yeah, it looked like Northeastern ran out of gas in the second half because they had that 2-point lead at the half, and then looked like Hofstra had the more legs and more fitness, scoring 42 points in the second half, so they pulled away.
Yeah, and it was kind of reminiscent of what I kind of mentioned at the half. What Northeastern's goal would be to keep this in the 50s and 60s and verge on the 70s towards 80s. It would favor Hofstra, and sure enough, Hofstra ratcheted up the scoring in the second half, really got things going on offense, and really got the wheels turning the way they were shooting, more like the way they were shooting against Delaware. First half a little bit slow, and then the second half they really turned it up and were able to get some distance from Northeastern, get some breathing room, and then when Northeastern had the rest of players with some foul trouble, that was when Hofstra was really able to expand its lead and get the job done. So the way I see it, Hofstra having the resume it has, looking forward to the NCAA tournament, this projects a team that could be a 13 or a 14, maybe a 14, given that the landscape of college basketball is so varied and there's so many different ways you can stack up these teams this year. But I see Hofstra definitely giving a first-round team a headache because they profile well. They have not just the guard play, but also Isaac Conte down low, really with a force tonight as well, working against Max Forsico for Northeastern. So Hofstra really impressed me tonight, and they are deserving champions.
Yeah. Well, our good friend Shelby Mass has them as a 14th seed, Hofstra, so in his bracketology. So, you never know. We'll see that on Sunday.
Absolutely. We'll see how it unfolds, and it really should be interesting because we've seen some CAA schools give some Power 5 schools who are a 4 or a 3 a test a couple years ago was the College of Charleston working against Auburn in a tight game that was pretty competitive. in the middle stages of the second half. So it's definitely something to watch for in terms of how much will De Jour Bowie get going against that even higher level competition. What's Hofstra going to be able to do on the inside of the paint against some of these bigger teams? Maybe a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier, a little bit bigger in terms of bulk. So all those things will be interesting to watch. But the way Hofstra played tonight in these last couple of days, they're really firing on all cylinders, and it's great to see to represent the CAA.
Exactly. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for doing our updates tonight, and we appreciate it. And we'll talk to you, next week or so. We'll see how where Delaware's going and what tournament they're playing in, and we'll see how everything else is going.
Absolutely, Delaware. Just to share something on that one little thing on that note. Delaware does have invitations to both the CPI and the CIT. It's just a matter of the hands figuring out the athletic department-wide what route they'd like to pursue, if any. So that postseason is still up in the air. But for now, we know the Hofstra Pride are off to the big dance. So exciting stuff out of the corner.
All right, man. Thanks so much for helping us tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sure thing. So thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back with our good friend Trevor Groves real quick, and then we'll talk to Madeline Kennedy at 9:15. So hopefully we'll see what's going on. We'll be right back here on the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Lately I've been noticing I say the same things he used to say, and I even find myself acting the very same way. I tap my fingers on the table to the rhythm in my soul, and I jingle the car keys when I'm ready to go. When I look in the mirror, he's right there in my eyes, staring back at me. And I realize the older I get, the more I can see how much he loved my mother and my brother and me. And he did the best that he could, and I only hope when I have my own family, that every day I see a little more of my father and me. Times I thought he was being just a little bit hard on me, but now I understand he was making me become the man he knew that I could be. In everything he ever did, he always did with love, and I'm proud today to say I'm his son. When somebody says, I hope I get to meet your dad, I just smile and say, you already have. The older I get, the more I can see how much he loved my mother and my brother and me. And he did the best that he could, and I only hope when I have my own family, that every day I see a little more of my father in me. He's in my eyes, my heart, my soul, my hands, my pride. And when I feel alone and I think I can't go on, I hear him sing, son, you'll be alright. Everything is gonna be alright. Yes, it is. The older I get, the more I can see that he loved my mother and my brother and me, and he did the best that he could. And I only hope when I have my own family, every day I see, oh, I hope I see, I hope every day I see a little more of my father and me. I was wondering, if you could keep on, because the force, it's got a lot of power, and it makes me feel like it makes me feel like
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Desk. It's 9:18 Eastern Time, and if you're in Chicago, it's 8:18 Central Time. We got Madeline Kenny with us. She writes for the Chicago Sun-Times. She covers the Chicago Sky, the WNBA, but she does some local teams around there as well. So, Madeline, thanks for joining us. So, talk about the local field there. I know you got a lot of teams that are in the NCAA tournament in the Chicago area, so we'll start with DePaul. What do they have to do in the Big East tournament to make their season a little bit better?
I mean, they got to actually win some Big East games. It's just been the best way to describe DePaul men's basketball season this year was they built up this beautiful Lego structure and then just let it fall off the table onto the floor, go everywhere, because they just totally fell apart as soon as Big East play went down, and it ended up being one of their worst seasons in years because of just how bad everything went. They couldn't win in conference, which is when they needed to win. And I'm not saying they had to dominate conference play, but they just had to get more than just what I think they finished with 1 or 2 wins. If they wanted to go to the tournament, they had those quad 1 wins during non-conference play. But now it's win the tournament or you're not going.
Yeah. What's going on with Northwestern? Because I know a couple of years ago they were in the March Madness and they made it to the Sweet 16. Now it's like they're 7-22 overall and 2-17 in the Big Ten, and they play tomorrow night. So it's like, what happened there?
Yeah, it just seems like the program has just regressed since they made their run in March Madness. And this year's team is extremely young. So I think that's not surprising how much they've kind of struggled this season. I think that they should have gotten a few more wins in conference play than they did. But it just seems like it's actually crazy when you look at DePaul men's and Northwestern men's programs and compare them to the women's programs. The women's programs at both schools are just absolutely dominant. DePaul's women's program is a consistent top 25 team. Northwestern has had an amazing season. They're going to the NCAA tournament. And it's just funny to see how different these programs are and where they're at with their development. DePaul or Northwestern men's basketball, again, they're going to have to win the tournament if they want to go to the NCAA tournament. Is that going to happen? I wouldn't bet on that.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the darlings of the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, the Loyal Chicago team. They made it all the way to the Final Four, and this year they are Missouri Valley Conference, but 1-all. They're 21-11, but I don't think they got a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. They have to win. They have to win a conference, right?
Yeah, they had to win their conference, and they lost to Valpo. So they're probably, if anything, they might go to get in an IT bid. But Loyola is unfortunate because it is a program that's on the rise. We saw that 2 years ago when they went to March Madness and what they were able to put together. And it kind of makes you wish that mid-major teams would have more opportunities to get at large to the NCAA tournament, because if Loyola didn't win, that Loyola team was special for a lot of reasons. It was just an overall really good team. That people want to say that a lot of it was luck, but there was a lot of talent on that team, and that roster played really well together, and Porter Moser did a really good job at getting that team together. And unfortunately, if they did not win the MVP that year, we would never have gotten to see that. And the other MVP team probably would have played out in the first, second round. So I think that the NCAA needs to do a better job at like looking at mid-major programs and giving them large bids or giving them opportunities, because it's just kind of unfortunate when the same teams show up every year. It's kind of fun to have those underdogs.
Exactly. Let's talk about Illinois. They made it to the Big Ten tournament as a 4th seed. They have a double bye, so that's something very unheard of for Illinois, because Illinois hasn't been that good since 2005.
Yeah. Illinois is having its best season since 2005. A lot of things are going right for that team. I think people expected this from them. They just have a pretty well-rounded roster. I think that they're pointing upward for Illinois going forward. I think they have an opportunity to make a pretty good run in March Madness tournament as well.
Yeah. You talked about the Northwestern women's team. They played really well in the this regular season. They played Maryland really tough. The ladies, Lady Terps, back and forth, but they lost in the quarters to Michigan last Friday. So I guess are they still going to the Big Ten, the Big Dance, or are they still going to be a top 4 seed?
I don't know if they're going to be necessarily a top 4 seed in the Big Dance, but they're definitely going to get an at-large bid. They've just been so dominant this season, and they have a lot of those quad 1 wins. I would be shocked. They're 26-4, 16-2 in the Big Ten. It was just everyone had to slip ups in conference tournaments, not unheard of. So I think that they're still going to get an opportunity.
That's true. Well, Madeline, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and stay warm. And out of Chicago, is it snowing there still, or is it still getting springtime over there?
No, it's not snowing. It's starting to get warmer by the day. It was a little chilly today, but it's getting better.
That's cool. Well, thanks very much for coming on, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Yep, have a good one.
All right. We'll be right back with our good friend Joe Giulio, who writes for the Philadelphia Inquirer. We'll join him in 6 minutes right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
As the snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning, a poor little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mama cries, 'cause if there's one thing she don't need is another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. People, don't you understand? Your child needs a helping hand. He'll grow to be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? Well, the world turns, and a hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the street as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. And his hunger burns. So he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal, and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. Then one night in desperation, the young man breaks away. He buys a gun, steals a car, tries to run, but he don't get far, and his mama cries. As the crowd gathers round, an angry young man face down in the street with a gun in his hand in the ghetto. And as her young man dies, on a cold and gray Chicago morning, another little baby child is born in the ghetto. And his mama cried.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio. And we have Joe Giulio, who covers the Everett.
Chris, it's Giuliano.
Giuliano. I'm sorry, Giuliano. I'm working on last names.
4 syllables, 7 letters.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
No problem.
He normally covers the Penn State football and Villanova basketball during the basketball season. So, Joe, thanks for joining us. Just talk about Villanova so far. They're going to start the Big East play this week in the tournament. So, what do they got to do to get back in the tournament?
Well, first I think they're into the NCAA tournament. It's only a matter now of what seed they can get. And of course, the farther they go in the Big East tournament, the higher, the better seed they're going to get. They finished in a 3-way tie for first place in the Big East with Seton Hall and Creighton, and they'll play their first game Thursday night against the winner of Wednesday night's game between Xavier and DePaul. I think the thing that we have to look at with Villanova is that they're very young. There's no seniors, no scholarship seniors on the team. They have 3 third-year juniors, and they start 2 freshmen who were both named to the all-freshman team of the Big East. So it's just a matter of, yes, they have the talent, but the Big East tournament is a real big deal. It's in Madison Square Garden. Every session is sold out, and every team brings thousands of people to support their team. So it's a great atmosphere, and if the Villanova young players can handle it, I think they'll be okay.
So this season was Jay Wright's tough season so far because he has some new players and all that stuff. It seems like every week they were being challenged by people in the Big East.
Well, it's been an incredible year in the Big East. It's 1 to 10. Any team can beat any other team on a given night. Now, DePaul had not a very good season. They only won 3 Big East games, but when they played Villanova at Villanova, they extended the Wildcats into overtime before Villanova eventually won the game. But that was a big scare for anybody, really. And the games have all been close. Villanova ended up finishing in a first-place tie by winning on the road at Seton Hall by 2 points and at Georgetown by 1. So it's just a matter of who's the tougher team, who has the more effective execution down the stretch. And in the event of the Georgetown game, the winning basket came on a goaltend that had to be reviewed and was upheld on replay. So it's good to have a little luck every once in a while too. But Villanova has every chance to beat every team they play in the tournament, and they have every chance to lose every game. So it's going to be an interesting 1, 2, or 3 days, depending on how long they can keep alive.
Yeah. Looking at the Big East tournament, starts tomorrow with Georgetown and St. John's. That's going to be interesting. Both are old rivals playing each other to start the tournament.
Yeah, it was more fun last year when Georgetown played St. John's, and it was Patrick Ewing on one bench and Chris Mullen on the other. But St. John's fired Mullen after the end of last season, so it'll be Mike Anderson, the former Arkansas head coach, matching with Patrick Ewing. But it'll be a great, 2 old Big East teams, 2 old Big East rivals, and of course St. John's plays, I think they played half their home games this year at Madison Square Garden, so the place will be really jumping for night 1. And Georgetown has played very good basketball. It's just they don't have enough players. They have 2 starters injured. Mm-hmm. They lost 3 guys for some misbehavior, and they lost another guy who decided he wanted to transfer. So they're playing with only 7 scholarship players, and 2 of them are hurt, and we don't know yet if they'll be playing tomorrow night. So they really have to hang in there best they can.
Yeah. Well, I know during the football season you cover Penn State, but you probably do watch a little of the Penn State from afar for basketball a little bit?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, they have 5 Philadelphia guys in their rotation. Pat Chambers, I knew very well as an assistant coach at Villanova. I do follow Penn State about as closely as I can.
Yeah. So they might face Maryland on Friday night. That might be a good game if they get past whoever they play. On I think it was on Thursday.
Yeah, they start I think on Thursday. Yeah, so it's another deal like I mentioned with the Big East, the Big Ten, other than Northwestern and Nebraska, are really tough, and anybody can beat anybody else. And now that I mentioned Northwestern, I have to remember that they beat Penn State in the last regular season game. So Penn State can't take anything for granted, and they have to get their their mojo back. They lost 5 of their last 6, and I'm sure that's going to hurt their seed, especially if they get knocked out of their first Big Ten game. But they were in the tournament. I mean, I think that's going to create a lot of excitement among their fans. But they have to start winning some games and get some momentum going for the tournament.
That's true. Well, Joe, I know you're a busy guy. I want to let you go because I know a lot of paper writers got to get stuff done, and I appreciate you taking some time for us tonight, and we'll talk to you down the road.
My pleasure, Chris. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll be right back with. Take care. We'll be right back with the Bowie State women's basketball coach. We'll talk to Coach Swan in a couple minutes, right here on HerbFM Sports Radio.
Some of y'all never been down south too much. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this so that you understand what I'm talking about. Down there we have a plant that grows out in the woods and the fields. Looks something like a turnip green. Everybody calls it poke salad. Poke salad. Used to know a girl lived down there and she'd go out in the evenings and pick her a mess of it. Carry it home and cook it for supper, 'cause that's about all they had to eat. They did all right. Now down in Louisiana, where the alligators grow so mean, there lived a girl that I swear to the world made the alligators look tame. Poke salad, Annie. Poke salad, Annie. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was working on a chain gang. A mean, vicious woman. Every day for supper time, she'd go down by the truck patch and pick her mess of poke salad, carry it home in a tow sack. Poke salad, Annie. The gators got your granny. Chomp, chomp, chomp. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was working on a chain gang. A wretched, spiteful, straight razor tote woman. Lord, I must pick my mess up. Daddy was lazy and no count, claimed he had a bad back. All her brothers were fit for was stealing watermelons out of my truck patch. Poke salad, Annie. The gators got your granny. Ooh. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was working on a chain gang. Sock a little poke salad to me. You know I need me a mess of it. Good God. Got to have me. Ate her up.
Town got its hustlers, the Bowery got its bumps, 42nd Street got Big Jim.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk. We are waiting for Chris Swan to give us a call. And then we'll be wrapping up the show. We'll see you guys next Wednesday night. We'll be back here on HerbFM Sports Radio. It's starting at 6:30 to 9 here on HerbFM Sports Radio. So hopefully you will join us next week. Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight on a special Tuesday night, because tomorrow all the tournament games start off out there, all around the Big East, Big Ten. Everybody will be playing tomorrow. So hopefully we'll have a good time, with the games here on ESPN and everywhere else as well. So we'll be right back. We're waiting for our good friend, we're waiting for the coach from Bowie State to give us a call in 3 minutes right here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around us. So let that feeling grab you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show, and you'll know what I mean. It's the season. Let your love fly like a bird on a wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine, and you'll know what I mean. That's the reason. There's a reason for the warm, sweet night.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Sports Desk here on HerbFM Sports Radio, 9:45 here, and we're wrapping up with Coach Swan from Bowie State University. The women's basketball team is going to head to the NCAA tournament for the third consecutive season, and they will open up Friday against Virginia Union. So, Coach Swan, thanks for joining us. Talk about last week, the tournament down in Charlotte. How'd you guys do?
We actually finished second, runner-up in the championship game. Lost it by 8 points to Fayetteville.
Okay.
It was a pretty intense week. We played 4 games in 5 days, so it was tough. You want to leave it all on the court at the championship game, and I think that's what we did.
Yeah. Do you feel like you guys ran out of gas? Because I know you play, like you just said, you played like 4 games in 4 days. Do you feel like you ran out of gas pretty much?
Yeah, I do. I do feel like we ran out of gas towards the end of the game. I just thought we made a lot of just fatigue mistakes. It was a lot of uncharacteristic turnovers, a lot of uncharacteristic plays, and I do think the fatigue had a huge part to play in that.
Yeah. Well, you're going to play against a team that you already played against this year, Virginia Union. So how did you get how did you draw a conference foe to play against you?
I have no idea. It seems like every year the CIAA schools always play against each other somehow in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be a great game. 2 pretty good basketball teams, and we're both very familiar with one another. So, it's going to be interesting. Both teams will be prepared. So, we just have to go in and, play to our strengths and try to capitalize off of their mistakes and weaknesses, or expose their weaknesses.
Yeah. I was just looking at it. You guys play the first 4 rounds on Friday, and then you got the semifinals on Saturday, and then you got the Atlantic Region Championship play on Monday. So basically, you have basically only one day to relax, and then you'll be probably getting that preparation if you make it all the way to Monday.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty good that you have that break in between, because it'll be opposite of what we did in the tournament. So in the tournament, we played one day, had the next day off, and then we played 3 straight days. Where this time around we have, we played for 2 days and then we have time to recover. Hopefully we'll have time to get back on track. Those who play a lot of minutes will get time to, rest their muscles, and we'll be able to regroup and prepare for the championship game.
Yeah. Well, you played Virginia Union February 28th, so you guys played each other before. What did you get?
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
We played each other twice during the season, and then we played each other in the semifinals of the CIAA tournament.
Yeah, so how difficult is it to play somebody, because tonight we saw Hofstra and Northeastern play for the third time all season long in the CAA. How tough is it to play somebody 3 times, because the first time you play them probably the beginning of the year, and then you don't play them until middle of the year, and then you play them back-to-back weeks. So how did you get prepared for a team you already played for?
It's tough, but I think when you play a team multiple times, that last time or the latter time, it's really a lot of mental preparation, especially if the last time you played that team, you were successful, because you don't want the players to go into the game saying, we just played them a week ago and we beat them. I think that's the toughest part of it all, is trying to change that mindset. You want to go into the game as if, you're competing for a championship, so no matter whether you won or lost the last game, you have to compete and go out and give your all. So I think the best way that we try to explain to them is that forget that, we won the last game, or forget that we played them last week, and just treat us as any other team. So go in and stick to what's on the scouting report, and we have to be productive and execute on our end.
Yeah. What's it like getting media attention? I was looking online. You guys had, down there in D.C., Channel 4 talking to you guys. What was it like having people finally finding out about Bowie State women's basketball?
It's one of the best feelings ever, especially for the young ladies, that they're able to get that recognition, because this is our 4th consecutive 20+1 season, and this is our 3rd year in a row going to the NCAA. And, those first 2 years, we didn't really have anyone come out. The first year that we went to the NCAA tournament, we made it to the Sweet 16, the Atlantic Region Championship, and we still didn't get that publicity that I thought that we should have received. So, it's a great feeling. It's a great experience for the young ladies to get in front of the camera and to be able to express themselves and, let the world know what they've been working so hard for the past 7 months now.
That's true. Well, Chris Swan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I want to, before I let you go, you have a young lady who used to play at Hartford Community College, and she's a senior down there. What was it like having her on the squad? Because I know she played a couple of years up here in Hartford County.
It's great. She's been able to come in and be Explorer General for us. She doesn't, try to hog the ball too much. She distributes the ball to her teammates. She knows when and when not to take shots. So she's a really smart player, and she's actually been able to keep us composed the last 2 years. So her playing the point position has actually, helped us. She gets everyone in their spot. She talks, and she's a great motivator for us.
That's true. Well, Coach Swan, good luck this weekend up there in Pennsylvania, and hopefully we'll keep an eye on you, and hopefully you guys keep rolling.
Okay, thank you.
All right, folks. We'll be right, folks. That's the end of the show tonight. Thanks for joining us here on HerbFM Sports Radio. We'll see you all next Wednesday night at our time, 6:30 Eastern Time, 9 o'clock. We'll end at 9 o'clock, so 6:30 to 9. So in the meantime, here is some Neil Diamond, and have a great night, everybody. All right, Coach Swan, thank you so much. Have a great evening.
fighting